welcome back, everyone. We are live. Great to be on here on this Friday afternoon. Welcome, welcome. Glad to have you all on. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live. We'll let the YouTube algorithm kick in for a moment here, and then we will get the ball rolling. Good to have you guys on. So, folks, we do have some Social Security news. I know we wanted to talk about the election and the aftermath, but I just wanted to get this video in quickly in regards to some Social Security news because it is very important and it could truly change the way that millions and millions of Americans retire. And this could truly affect the future generations. It could really affect the income that elderly people bring in, and that they have to work much longer as life expectancy does continue to increase in this rapidly changing society. So there's so much at play here, so many factors, but the fact is that Republicans basically want to change the entire game. They want to change the entire system of how Social Security is run and how much spending goes into it, and if it even should exist, period. And this is just yet another example of what the GOP is trying to do here. Now, whether or not they have good intentions or maybe there's something nefarious beneath the surface that is behind closed doors and behind the curtain, who knows? That is up for debate and up for your opinion. But this is super important. So let's get started without further ado here and dive right in. But before we do, as always, make sure you guys do a couple things for me. Number one, give this video a tremendous thumbs up, smash the like button. I would appreciate that. Also, make sure that you are subscribed and have notifications turned on. That's so important. So number one, if this video gets to 500 likes, we'll do a cash giveaway where we give away $100 to a few of you lucky subscribers. And if you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed, because once we hit 20,000 subscribers, we will do a cash giveaway where we give away double the amount of cash that we gave away at 10K. So that is important to note. And we have a lot of new faces on this channel from certainly the videos, as well as the traction that my Bigger Pockets Real Estate Rookie podcast interview got. We got a lot of new people hopping on board from that. So I want to welcome everyone that is brand new, everyone that is fresh to the channel. We welcome you, and we want you to join our community, and we welcome you with open arms. So welcome aboard. Just want to do a quick sound check because, all right, I think we are good. If you guys can hear me, make sure you say where you're tuning in from, city, state, location, whatever you want to tell us, wherever you are coming from. Hello, hello. Yes, we do sound good. All right, just want to make sure there. Fantastic. So with that being said, let's get started and get right into it. So fact is that the world is changing, folks. You look at it in America, you look at it around the world, and the society is, we're placing financial strain. Hello, Ginny, coming to us from Annville, Pennsylvania. Good to have you on. Familiar face. So America's rapidly aging society is placing financial strain on its two core old age programs, that is Social Security and Medicare. Now, as Republicans are close to winning back control of the House in the midterm elections, some lawmakers are embracing plans for overhauling the programs, including raising the age for seniors to claim benefits to 70 years old. 70 years old would be the minimum age that you'd be able to claim benefits. In other words, you'd have to work longer, and if you get unlucky and you don't have a very long lifespan, in that case, you'd have to work longer. This was going to take longer to first claim those benefits, and you'd have a shorter retirement. Now, if you are fortunate enough to live a very long life, well, perhaps you do have some additional years to come, and you could have a decent retirement. Of course, as the life expectancy is increasing every year, although because of COVID, it definitely took a dip, and especially with problems like opioids and drugs, just absolutely devastating the youth, and suicide, that has also affected the life expectancy. But all in all, if you look at it from a standpoint disregarding the aforementioned causes of death, people are in fact aging and living longer. So if you're fortunate enough to live a very long age, let's say 100 years old, you could potentially have 30 years of retirement if Republicans were to raise that age. So that's some math to do. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know the exact date that our time is coming, but you may want to do some calculations and just look at some average statistics, and obviously staying healthy would help in your benefit years. So with that being said, under a plan developed by a Republican study committee, a group of conservatives in the House, senior citizens would face a 5-year delay to claim Medicare, the government health care program for seniors that currently allows people to access the program when they turn 65, and the retirement age for Social Security would also increase to 70. That's compared with today's full retirement age between 66 and 67 years old. That's the FRA, or full retirement age. Now, what's the reason for the push? Well, they're citing the miracle of longer life expectancies, according to the Republican Study Committee's documents. But while Americans are living longer than in earlier generations, the average age of retirement is 61, or 5 years earlier than workers say they had expected to step back from the workforce, according to a Gallup poll. In other words, people may believe that they'll work longer, but on average, Americans are stepping back 5 to 6 years before they even reach Social Security's current FRA. So that's something to keep in mind, and an interesting find. So on average, again, Americans stop working about 5 years earlier than they planned to, according to Gallup. So if you look at the average expected retirement age and the average retirement age, it's actually not what you may have thought it would be. Now, because of this, boosting the age to claim benefits would likely increase hardship and poverty for older Americans, especially for low-income rural Americans and those who have to stop working due to health issues or take care of family members, according to experts. That is certainly true. And obviously, as we know, in this economy, with this inflation and the economic climate that we're in right now, we've seen many retired and elderly people step out of retirement and join back into the workforce. So keep that in mind as well. That means either missing 3 years of benefits compared with current retirees, or opting to claim benefits earlier, which Social Security allows retirees to do, in exchange for a permanent reduction in benefits. Generally, retiring 3 years earlier than the full retirement age equates to a 20% decline in monthly benefits, according to the SSA, or Social Security Administration. That means that for even people who work to age 70, you never catch up with the cut in benefits. And this is according to the president of Social Security Works, that's an advocacy group for the benefit program. She also said that it particularly hurts those in low-income, physically demanding jobs who are more likely to stop working earlier due to health issues. Now, postponing eligibility for Medicare would leave most older Americans ages 65 to 70 significantly underinsured and threatens their finances and their health. That's according to Mary Johnson, that is the Social Security and Medicare policy analyst at the Senior Citizens League. That's another advocacy group for older Americans. Now, Americans between 65 to 70 years of age would either need to work longer in order to keep their health coverage through their employers, or turn to healthcare.gov's marketplace to buy insurance. And even plans for people who are under 64 can be costly, running more than $10,000 per year in premiums. So the costs for those 65 to 70 would be even more financially challenging, especially given the fact that they need to use more care and spend more out of pocket, where they will find the money to pay those new unexpected healthcare costs. Where will they find those funds? And there's also funding shortfalls, right? Republicans say that changes are needed to Social Security and Medicare because of the projected funding shortfalls, with Social Security's trust fund projected to be depleted by the year 2035. That we've reported probably 1 billion times on this channel before. And at that point, beneficiaries would still receive monthly checks, but the benefits would be cut to about 75% to 80% of their full amount. Hello, Dolores. Good to have you on. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Medicare is also facing funding shortfalls as the ranks of America's seniors swell. Now, according to the Republican view, the best way to reset the program would be to cut spending by reducing the number of years that seniors can claim these programs. They also want to link retirement age to future changes in life expectancy, which could mean that the age for claiming Social Security could creep even higher than 70. If people start to live till an average of 105, if we start to see more 105-year-olds, 110-year-olds, they may even want to raise that age to 75. Who knows, guys? It could really get wild in the future. And that can create more problems, especially for people that do not make a lot of money or aren't able to save a lot for retirement. And the Republican Study Committee report calling for big cuts is a piece of work, according to Paul Krugman. He said that he was really struck by the way it justifies raising the age of eligibility for both Social Security and Medicare by raising life expectancy. And most people don't even need to work. Most people don't even work, rather, to their full retirement age, much less 70. This would add to insecurity, and it would add to the retirement income crisis, and it would only exacerbate from here. Now, if Republicans do gain control of Congress, it's likely that these proposals and others, such as turning Social Security into a discretionary spending program, could move forward. And whether or not that would pass the Senate, though, who knows? Hello, Mario. Good to have you on. And Dolores. Right. Good to have you on. Understandable. Sorry to hear that, Mario. Hang in there. Stay strong. So again, Republicans could very well gain control, whether that's just the first chamber, which is the House of Representatives. Now, whether or not they gain control of the Senate, that's another story. Right now, it's really tight, and we're also going to have that runoff race, which is important to note. We'll get into that into another video. But that proposal and that legislation could potentially stall for many years to come. So don't get too alarmed. Don't get too scared. Just because Republicans gain control of the House does not necessarily mean that these proposals and pieces of legislation will move forward and will become law of the land. Just keep in mind that if Republicans in the future were to ultimately get control of the House, the Senate, and the presidency, well, that could spell trouble, and a lot of these ideas could ultimately come to fruition and become reality. Now, as of Wednesday morning, right, it was unclear which party will maintain control of the Senate, although Republicans are projected to win the House. So Republicans so far will likely gain control of the House of Representatives. Now, President Biden is pushing against these proposals. Democrats are facing headwinds as voters weigh the highest inflation in 40 years and other economic issues. And according to Biden, he had said at a recent November event, quote, "From the time you're 16, you have money taken out to pay Social Security, but guess what? There's somebody out there busting their neck, or you just lost your husband or your wife, you're 66, 68 years old, and they want to take away your Medicare and your Social Security." Of course, pointing the finger at Republicans and what they're trying to do should they take control of the Congress. Now let's look at red state life expectancy. So Americans living in Republican-leaning states are likely to be hurt more by the retirement age increase than those in so-called blue states, according to experts. That's because depending on one's state of residence, there is a considerable gap in life expectancies for people who are 65 years old. So residents of states where voters tend to predominantly elect Republicans tend to actually have a lower life expectancy at age 65 than people who live in states where residents vote for Democrats. Don't want to get too controversial on this channel. We want to be as unbiased as possible. That is just according to hard, cold data and stats, but obviously it's not a blanket big tent statement, right? It's not a full-fledged indictment of Republicans or Democrats. It is just on average, that is the life expectancy if you look at the data and the facts. So for instance, Mississippi, Alabama, and Oklahoma have the lowest life expectancies in the nation for people who are 65 years old, with those residents projected to live roughly just an additional 16 years, according to government data. But 65-year-olds living in Hawaii live an additional 21 years. So that's quite a significant difference. On average, those in California and Vermont live an additional 19 and a half years. Interesting to note. And raising the retirement age would really hurt rural areas, which tend to trend older and be lower income, and they tend to be Republican voters. That's just a fact. But, that landscape is changing. You're seeing it right now where boomers are essentially dying off, and you're seeing the millennial and Gen Z vote start to come into play, and you're starting to see more of those voters. So certainly that could change the map and, change the entire dynamic. This is just right now what we know at the moment, but in 15, 20 years from now, the United States could look completely different, and the statement that I'm saying right now may not necessarily be true then. And pushing Medicare's eligibility age to 70 would also hurt many of these voters, especially as low-income workers may not be able to remain in the workforce in their 60s due to disabilities or other issues, and could struggle to pay for health insurance until they turn 70. That's if Republicans were to raise the retirement age to 70 years old, should that take place. In the long run, delaying Medicare accessibility could also raise the program's healthcare costs because more people would be entering the program not only at an older age, but potentially sicker after delaying healthcare treatments for several years. Now, there are other options for restoring Social Security and Medicare to financial health other than raising that retirement age and cutting benefits. There's other fixes and other approaches that we can take. We don't necessarily have to take that conservative fiscal approach, of raising that retirement age and making the spending discretionary and starting to cut benefits. That's obviously not the ideal option. That would kind of be our last resort if the programs were to truly go downhill and we start to see them fail. So one of the most prominent, widespread ideas coming more so on the Democratic side, but you do have some bipartisan support for it. Among them is raising the cap on earnings that are taxed for Social Security. So currently earnings over $147,000 annually are not subject to the payroll tax, although that limit will rise to $162,000 in 2023. Another idea is to increase the tax rate for the program in general. Both methods would bolster revenue for the program, although the first idea would only impact about 6% of workers who earn above $147,000 per year, while the second would impact all workers, according to the Congressional Research Service said in a June report. Now in 2023, the cap on earnings will rise to $162,000 with the amount adjusted upward due to inflation. So maybe eventually it will reach $147,000 just naturally because of inflation, but we still have a long way to go. Now, from a political perspective, the public opinion regarding different options can vary among constituencies. So obviously, if you ask Republicans, you ask Democrats, they're going to have different ideas about how we actually approach this issue and how we deal with it. So I'm just curious, what are you guys' opinions? What do you think we should do to ultimately salvage the program and save Social Security, save Medicare? What should we do to ensure that it is in full effect and we don't have to start cutting benefits and having to hurt people that paid into the system for years and years on end, and they would bear the brunt of this? How do we stop that from happening? And how do we save the programs? What are your thoughts? Let me know down below in the comment section or in the live chat if you're watching live right now. Now, the report added that policymakers need to act soon to avoid a cut in benefits to the roughly 70 million people who do receive Social Security benefits. This is a group that includes retirees, disabled workers, and survivors of Social Security recipients. So it's all encompassing, and we're talking about tens and tens of millions. It'll probably be much higher, as the years do progress and the population grows. I think that number could very well reach 100 million, eventually one day. So we're talking about a lot of people here, and we can't just put their lives in jeopardy and not give them an answer. They are in absolute turmoil right now. There's a lot of uncertainty. Some of them, do not necessarily have that much longer to live, so they won't even see the year in which these programs could be depleted. But again, as the years go by and more people ultimately opt in for retirement and opt in for benefits, that's more people that are at risk. And as the years go on and no action is taken, that could only jeopardize and put their lives in more peril. So action has to be taken now, guys. And so, I'm sure you guys did vote on November 8th, and you had your voices heard, and you casted that ballot, and maybe you did have Social Security benefits in mind, and you picked a politician that maybe was more pro Social Security, hopefully. And I hope, that definitely works out well, and I hope we could see some changes come into fruition for the good, not the worse. Now, raising the retirement age and putting Medicare out of reach until people turn 70 may only exacerbate income inequality and worsen poverty among American seniors. This is an incredibly serious threat right now, and we have to pay attention to it. And it's very real, especially if Republicans gain control of both chambers. So just keep that in mind. Take that with a grain of salt. It's not like tomorrow we're going to wake up and there's no benefits, but some action has to be taken sooner than later, guys. We have to make these changes for the good, not these anti-senior, anti-disabled ideas that are being propagated right now. Changes have to be made. So just make sure that when you cast that ballot and you vote for people in your local districts and your congressional districts and your senators, that you keep that in mind, because it is a very real problem. It is a very real threat. It seems like it's only getting worse and worse, and we're hearing the dog whistles on the daily now. So what are your guys' thoughts? What do you think should be done here? Let me know your comments. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. as well as the live chat if you're watching right now. But hope you guys enjoyed that video. Hope that clarified some of what's going on right now and this political climate of Social Security, Medicare. It's unfortunate that it's being toyed with, that seniors are being moved like pawns in a game, and that's the last thing that we want to do. We don't want to gamify this and politicize it. It really shouldn't even be a political issue, but the fact is that it really is. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you got value out of it. If you did, smash the like button. I'd appreciate that. Make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on. I would appreciate that. If you want to get some free stocks, guys, use the links down below in the description. Vinny, I don't know. Well, I mean, I did have a little bit of wine, so maybe that's that, or maybe it's just the lighting. But no tears are being shed in regards to this issue. But I think that's the lighting, or maybe the redness of my shirt might be playing a role. I don't know. That's how I normally look. Hopefully it doesn't look like I always want to cry. So, I don't know, Vinny. Maybe that's just on your screen. Maybe not mine. But with that being said, guys, again, free stocks. You can get the links down below in the description of this video. You can sign up with the brokerage platforms. Yep. Vinny White with the wine. Okay, sounds good. Fair enough. Alrighty. Links are down below in the description. Sign up with the brokerage platforms, Robinhood and or Webull. You'll get some free stocks, all on me, all free. And when you use those links, you'll probably get stocks valued up to thousands of dollars in some cases. I'm curious what stocks you get, let me know. And if you want to connect me on social media, I am on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I am on TikTok. Use the social links down below in the description. And if you haven't seen my Bigger Pockets Real Estate Rookie podcast interview, that link you could also find on my channel. I will also link that down below in the description. It's getting quite a bit of traction. So let me know if you're coming from that video as well, because we had a lot of people come over from that interview. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Take care for now.